So, Nashid Abdul-Khaaliq will deliver a speech that will touch every one of us, because he will talk about overcoming your obstacles. And I'm sure each one of you has obstacles, whether hidden or maybe it's obvious for everyone. So please, put your hands together and help me again, help me introduce again Nashid Abdul-Khaaliq.
Good afternoon and assalamu alaikum. That's a little bit about myself in terms of what I do at Aramco. I am a technical advisor with the Upstream Professional Development Center. I teach and develop high-performance computing courses here at the Upstream organization. And I've been with Aramco now for about 15 years. So it's been a long time. It's been a very, very good experience for me. I don't regret it at all. As Talal mentioned, the title of my workshop is Overcoming Obstacles. And I'll start it by saying a quote. It's not your aptitude, but your attitude, which may be detaining you from gaining altitude. Who here can explain what that statement means to them? Anyone want to take a chance? No, well, I'll say it again. It's not your aptitude, but your attitude, which may be keeping you from reaching altitude. Anybody want to take a chance at that? What does that mean? What's your initial impression? Huh? Okay, I see. Now you have, okay, it's with English words. Well, let me explain it since, no one want to volunteer. Unless, anybody want to just take a stab at it, what you think initially? Okay, I say it one more time. It's not your aptitude, but your attitude, which may be detaining you from gaining altitude.
Got it. But explain first.
Aptitude. Okay. That one word may be a stumble, but I'm glad you asked that question. That's very good. Aptitude means your ability, your natural ability.
And being afraid, being afraid is the thing that's holding you from becoming like high performance.
That's
one way to look at it. But go ahead. Now that you know what that word means, I expect a perfect answer from you.
It's not about your ability.
Yes.
It's about your attitude, how you present yourself to the people so that you can get respect. Then they can accept anything from you. To reach their altitude, I mean, being in the top, it's not an easy thing. You have to, first of all, develop your attitude toward people.
Sure.
So, I feel like this.
What you're saying is correct. What you're saying is correct. That's one way of looking at it. I would say two different ways of looking at it. But when we think about your aptitude, like we said, it's your natural ability. So I'm saying it's not your natural ability, but your attitude. What is attitude? Attitude is the way we look at things, the way we interpret things. We can either look at something as being achievable, or we can look at something as being too hard to even try to achieve. But our way we perceive these things, or the way we look at these things, that is the main force that keeps us from reaching our highest potential or achieving great things. So, translated, it's not your natural ability, it's not your ability, but the way you look at things that may be preventing you from achieving success in life. Okay? So, for many of us, our biggest obstacle is ourselves. But is that natural for human beings to have themselves as an obstacle?
Oh, sure, yeah. I think yeah.
No, I tend to disagree. Now, one good example is when you look at a baby, for instance, right? when the baby starts to walk, doesn't walk the first time.
Salam did.
Salam did. But what happens to that baby? The first time it tries, it falls, right? Yeah. And it may try tens, hundreds of times, and it falls. But what does that baby do? It keeps on trying, right? Because it's a natural thing in human beings. It's a natural thing for us to have a positive attitude to say, yes, we can achieve. Right? So, if that's the case, what happens when we get older? Do we try 100 times like that baby to walk? A lot of times we fail once or twice. Nah, I'm not going to try it.
I think we're not getting smarter.
That don't mean we get smarter. But the point is, that baby has an objective to achieve. And after it kept falling all the time, then finally, it walks, right? It achieves success because it had a belief in itself that it will be successful. Okay? Okay. And a little story I like to tell people in terms of how we can have the worst attitude towards success. I like to tell the story about a dog. For instance, the dog wanted to get a drink of water, so it went over to the pond. And as it was sticking his head into the pond, another dog kept coming up, which was his reflection. Right. So it thought it was another dog, so it didn't drink. So it kept going back and forth to the pond, and each time it kept going to drink, it kept seeing this other dog. And it refused to drink. Then it said, the last time the thirst just built up too much, it said, I don't care if there's another dog there or not. I'm going to go to that pond and jump in. It jumped in, and the other dog disappeared. The only thing holding back that dog from what it really needed and wanted was itself. Okay? And for a lot of us in life, the biggest obstacle for our success is ourselves. Yes, you have circumstances, right? You can have big obstacles with money, obstacles with just skills. But if you don't have the skills, you can learn the skills, right? And if you don't have the money, you can steal it from Solomon, right? But what drives you to be successful? What drives you to overcome the things that may be money, even physical impediments? Some people are born blind. I know I have a close friend, he's born blind, he can't see. But yet he graduated top of his class at his university in engineering. Okay? Now, what keeps us from being successful and really pursuing our dreams? I'm sure all of you have dreams about what you want to achieve in life, right? Of course. You all know, you say, okay, by the time I'm 20, I'm going to be such and such by the time. You have your life planned out perfectly, right? No, I'm only kidding. But you do have a dream for what you want to achieve, right? That's where it starts. It starts with a dream, but it also starts with having the right attitude. To say, yes, you can, like that baby that says, yes, I will walk. And when you say, yes, you can, what that will do, it will be the energy, the motivation, the force, that when you run into obstacles, whether it be money, whether it be economics, whether it be skills, whether it be whatever, difficulties that you face, your attitude will keep you going. It will keep you striving to achieve. And that's why having the right attitude is the beginning of your success. Beginning in your road to success. Now, what I like to do, I want to show you examples of 3 people who had difficulties. Great difficulties that will normally stump the average person. And they were able to overcome those difficulties and become successful.
hand.
I'm afraid it top.
No, the electricity's not there. No, it's not the electricity.
Oh, great. Great. Okay. Can I ask you, when you're faced with difficulties, whether it be a personal problem, a problem at work, a problem with a friend, or whatever, how do you handle your difficulties? Yes. Yes.
And try hard.
You try hard. Anybody else? How do you handle your difficulties? But who here doesn't have difficulties in life? When I grow up, I want to be just like you. I want to be just like you.
Different philosophy.
Okay. But anybody else want to just volunteer about how you handle your difficulties?
I face it.
You face it. Okay, when you say you face it, what do you do?
I try to solve it.
You try to solve it. Okay.
Being patient.
Being patient, sure. But through it all, when you have your difficulty, do you say, if I face it, if I'm patient, if I pray, I'm not going to be successful? Is that what's in your mind?
No.
No, we will be.
Yes, you have hope that you will succeed, right? And for that, I want you to share the statement that I'd like you to look at. Believe in yourself and all that you are. Know that there's something inside you that is greater than any obstacle. Okay? Once you know that inside you, you have something greater than any obstacle, then the obstacles may come and go, but you know that you will win, right? You know that you will succeed. And that is what you have to keep in mind at all times when you are faced with difficulties, especially if it's a difficulty that's standing in your way for achieving the goal that you want to achieve in life. Okay? If you believe that, you will be successful. You will be successful. And once you think like this, it brings about the right attitude, which will give you the energy, the force, the motivation to overcome any difficulty you're facing. What I like to do is to talk about 3 examples of people who faced great difficulties, but yet they were successful. One is Thomas Edison, Muhammad Tatani, and my son Ibn. So let me start with Thomas Edison. What is he famous for? How many of you have ever heard of Thomas Edison?
All of us.
The light bulb, right?
He invented that.
Yeah, they said he invented the light bulb, but that's not really true. He invented, the light bulb was invented before Thomas Edison, but he invented a light bulb that lasted for several hours. Other light bulbs were not able to sustain, but what he did with the invention he came up with was quite significant. But what else is Thomas Edison famous for? Besides his inventions?
He was blind.
No, he wasn't blind.
He's dumb, I think.
Stupid.
He's dumb.
Stupid at school.
Deaf.
Stupid at school.
He's dumb, I think.
Deaf?
Disability.
All of you here, I'm impressed. You do have some information about
He
it.
invented 200 inventions.
200 is too small for him. We'll see how many he invented very shortly. He was also famous for his stick-to attitude, to never give up, for his persistence. A young reporter came to Thomas Edison. He said, Mr. Edison, you have tried about 1,000 times to come up with the best light bulb. Don't you feel like a failure? Shouldn't you just give up? And you know what he said? He said, young man, I have found 1,000 ways that a light bulb wouldn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I think I'm very close to achieving success. Okay. So he kept on, and he persisted, and he actually came up with over 1,000 inventions, and we'll talk a little bit about some of those inventions shortly. But that's what we know. But did you know that he had some very severe difficulties? And some of you mentioned that. He had scarlet fever as a child, which left him 100% deaf in one ear and 80% in the other as an adult. Okay? He also, as a student, his teacher said to him, he was too stupid to learn anything. What does that do to a child's motivation at a young age? Hey, Solomon, you're too stupid to learn anything. It doesn't make you feel, confident in trying to achieve. Disappointed. His mother was so upset, she took him out of the school and she homeschooled him herself. So he had no formal education. Okay? He was fired from his first 2 jobs. Imagine that. Working your first 2 jobs, being fired for being non-productive. What a start. Also, months later, his mother had mental illness. Not months later, but later when he became an adult, his mother had mental illness. And his father was jobless, so he had to work. He didn't have it easy. He had to support his family himself. Also, his wife died, and his wife was his closest confidant, the love of his life. And when she died, it was a big loss to him. I know some people, if their close ones die or something happens, after that, they don't want to live. They don't want to do anything. They're so depressed. Okay? But he didn't let that affect him. Also, his film plant burned down. Now, he spent many years building this film plant. And in 1940, it burned down to the ground. And while the film plant was burning down, he was watching it burn, and he said, wow, what a wonderful fire. Isn't this something? And then he called his son and said, son, go tell your mother to come so she can see this fire. She may never see another fire like this again. Then he went and built his plant back up again. He didn't say, oh, I've lost it all. I don't know where I'm going to begin. But his attitude was not to let these things set him back. Also, he had many fruitless experiments. There were many experiments that he's tried, and they were not successful. But he kept on trying. He kept on trying. Until he invented 1,360 inventions. Significant inventions.
Wow.
We talk about a light bulb, but another great invention is the phonograph. Any of you know about the phonograph?
My grandma had one of those, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, we use recording devices a lot, right? I mean, we record movies, we record music, we just go on an iPad and play, our Samsung, we have all of these recording devices. But the first recording device was invented by him. The basic one. And basically, he was so thrilled when he talked into this device and then turned it on and played back his voice. Can you imagine the first time that happened?
He was the deaf guy.
Yeah, well, he wasn't 100% deaf. Come on, man. He also invented the first movie camera, recording camera. And the alkaline battery, I could go on and on and on about his inventions. But again, he overcome all those obstacles I told you about. And he didn't let that keep him from achieving. So his attitude was, did he have the right attitude? Did he have that baby attitude to keep trying? Mm-hmm. Yes. He kept his natural baby attitude. He didn't lose it. And he kept on trying until he became successful. So that's Thomas Edison. I know you heard about this guy, Muhammad Khatami, right? Yes. Let me let you hear in his own words what were his difficulties. Let me get my glasses here. How many of you know of Khatami's difficulties that he had?
Yeah.
Where is this? Well, let me share with you in his own words, rather than me say it, what his difficulties was. Everybody see this okay?
And I believe we're going to talk a bit about your childhood.
Yes. Actually, I was born anew. I uttered my first word when I was 6. And even after that, I stuttered so hard that I became the laughing stock of school. But look where I am now. I'm not saying this to brag or to say, hey, look at me, look what I've done. No, I'm saying if this could happen to me, imagine what could happen to you. Thank you.
If this can happen to me, imagine what could happen to you. Here it is. He didn't speak his first words until he was 6 years old. How many of you had this experience? And I even saw Muhammad Khatani last week. He still stutters today. He could have said, well, I stutter and I can't speak. And wouldn't even look at going for the world championship of public speaking. He could say, look, I have a physical impediment. I can't talk. There's something wrong with the way. But he did not let that hold him back. And he went and he competed for the world championship. And look at him, the 2015 world champion of public speaking. And there were thousands of people who entered that race, that competition, from all over the world. And you had the best from China, well, Japan, best from different European countries, the best from the U.S., the best from all over the world came to compete against him. And he was first place. So this is the right attitude. This is the attitude of saying, I can, despite having difficulties. I wanted to share this picture with you just to show you some of the things that Muhammad Khatani went through to become champion. This was in 2014. We had a Toastmasters conference. And just for you who don't know, in the Toastmasters contest, there's 4 types of contests. One is evaluation speech, where you evaluate somebody who speaks. One is a humorous speech, like what Salim did, where you give a humorous speech, and the one who's the most effective and funny with the humorous speech, they win first place. The other one is international speech, which is a speech that you give with a serious message. Okay? And then the other one is what we call tabletop, which is impromptu speaking, where you are asked a question, and the best one to answer the question the best wins the contest. Now, what happened, you have 3 distinguished gentlemen holding 2 trophies. One is me. I was first place for the table topics, which is the impromptu speaking, and also second place for the international speech. Muhammad Khatani was first place for the humorous speech contest, and third place for the international speech. So I beat the world champion on public speaking. And this guy, Muhammad Isa, he was first place for international speech and first place for humorous speech. He was a champion of champions. In fact, the way it works with Toastmasters, if anything happens to him, I, as the second place winner in international speech, will take his place and go. And if anything happens to him again, Muhammad Khatani, as the second place winner in the humorous speech contest, will take his place and go and compete. So me and Muhammad Khatani saying, we don't want to kill the guy. Maybe we can find a way to poison him for one day. So we would call him over and say, Muhammad, the day of the contest, come and have dinner with us. We want to give you the best mandi, the best kasa, umali. You know, because you look at him, his size tell you he likes to eat. But he never took us up on that. But anyway, this was 2014. But let me show you what happened the next year in 2015. In 2015, I'm sorry, my slides are out of sync, but anyway, in 2015, Muhammad Khatami at that same Division M conference was the first place winner in the evaluation speech, the first place winner in the humorous speech, and the first place winner in the international speech. 1 year later, he just topped everything. Okay? Then he went on to the district. The district is the countrywide, to see who was the best in Saudi Arabia. And in Saudi Arabia, when he competed, he was the first place winner in humorous speech, so he was the best in Saudi Arabia. And the way it works with Toastmasters, the highest you can go for humorous and all the other contests is countrywide level. That's as high as you go. Okay, you can't go any higher. But then, he was second place in the international speech contest. And he didn't place in the evaluation speech contest. But what happened? A stroke of fate happened. A stroke of fate happened that caused him to have an opportunity. The person who was first place in 2015, like the way I can't go this year, that person couldn't go last year. Say it again?
He poisoned him.
It'll be more than dinner. It has to last for a few months, I guess. But anyway, he couldn't go. And then Muhammad Khatami had his chance, and he went to the world stage and became the world champion, 2015 world champion of public speaking. This is from a guy, from a baby, a young child, that couldn't speak when he was 2, 3, 4, 5, but uttered his first word when he was 6. What an achievement. Right? Great achievement indeed. And he couldn't have done that if he didn't have what? What had to be right first before he do that? His attitude. I can. I can. He had an attitude to say, yes, I can do it.
I'm sure his parents also had
yes. Especially if you have the right parents who was encouraging, who didn't say, Muhammad, no, don't do that. You do something else. You know, don't take money from Solomon Abdul-Khaaliq. No, but his parents had to be encouraging. Yes, very encouraging. And I want to share with you, my slides were out of order. This is my son, Ibn Nashid Abdul-Khaaliq. This is when he was a baby. Now, babies, if there's something wrong, they can't tell you, right? They don't speak Arabic. They don't speak English. So, unless there's a way to detect that there's something physically wrong, you will never know. Now, my son Ibn had a hearing problem. And we weren't aware of what that problem was. And the thing is, we could tell that he was kind of slow in picking things up compared to the other kids, but we had no idea. But it was not until he was like about 5 years old that we took him to the hospital in Houston, and the doctors did analysis, and they found out he had a hearing problem. And they were able to, do the surgery to fix it. But between his young formative years, there was a lot of things he missed. Just common sense things in the language that he missed. So I have 5 boys. Obviously, this is one of my boys here too, right? No, this is my 4 sons, my oldest son here, and this is me when I had some hair in my head. But anyway, this is my son Ibn. He was slower than my other kids because he, did not pick up fast. And plus, when he was in school, he was a loner. He was by himself all the time. He didn't have friends. Well, he had his brothers and his cousins that he played with. But to say that he had friends outside his immediate family, he didn't. Okay? So I was more concerned about Ibn than I was about any of my other sons. So he actually came here to Daran Academy. He went to school here when I first moved to Saudi. And he took a course in statistical physics. In that course, his teacher told me, I don't think your son will be able to make it. And I didn't think he would be able to make it either. But he said, Daddy, it's okay, Daddy. I will do it. I can do it. At the end of the semester, we were very impressed. He didn't get an A, he didn't get a B, but he got a strong C, which really was very impressive, because statistical physics is not an easy course. My degree is in physics, so I know, okay? But he did very, very well, according to us, based on his abilities. So he overcame a challenge, and he was successful. Not only that, Ibn went on to make many accomplishments. This is what he looks like today. Oops. He went back to Houston is where we lived. And he was going to Houston Community College there. Then he decided, he said, Daddy, I want to go to New York. So I didn't know. He went and he applied and he got an academic scholarship to attend Polytechnic University in New York City. And he did all of that on his own. It was good for me because I didn't have to pay his full tuition. So I said, thank you, Ibn, you know. But that was a great accomplishment. He also graduated with honors with computer science, in computer science. And he got accepted. He's working now for a company called the Vanguard Company, which is like a $3 trillion company. It's a huge company. In fact, for American expats, Vanguard is the one that handles our retirement. He's a programmer there.
Accounting company?
No, it's an insurance company.
Insurance.
And financial, I would say a financial company. It handles all kinds of financial transactions. Not only that, he became the lead. He became the team lead for a group of IT developers at Vanguard. And not only his accomplishments on his job was great. Now, where he lived is a place near Philadelphia called King of Prussia. King of Prussia is in Pennsylvania. And he would tell me, I want to go to New York, I want to take acting. I said, Ibn, it's kind of difficult. If you're going to go travel from Prussia, it's a long ride. It's about 3-4 hours, maybe less or more, but it's a long drive. But he would go take his acting classes, saying that, you know, when I finish these classes, I'm going to get my certificate, and then I can act. So every, I would say 3-4 times a week, every week, he would be going back and forth, go act, take his class, come back early in the morning, then go to work, then in the afternoon go again. He did that for 6 months, so he was able to successfully finally get his acting certificate. Then it came time for him to audition for a movie called Fences. He acted in this Fences production in the play, but then he was accepted by Denzel Washington to be in the movie for Fences. And that movie's coming out this year, at the end of this year.
You make sure to watch it.
Say it again?
You make sure to watch it.
Yes, make sure to watch it. Yeah, he's going to be there.
Lucky Denzel.
Say it again?
Lucky Denzel.
Yes, yes. So the way it is, he went to the audition like anybody else. Even though he's acted and they accepted him, he worked one-on-one. He would send me text messages, emails. We'll talk about his experience with working with Denzel. Denzel took a personal liking to him. And this is just to show you him today, acting in one of the movies. He's acting like a mean, tough guy, a tough boss. That's him. But not only that, recently, within the past, less than a month ago, he got a special nomination. A special nomination that says that he was nominated for Outstanding Featured Actor in a Play. So, coming from a background of someone who had hearing problems, someone who was a loner, someone who was not very social, and not letting that be something to hold you back was something that Ibn did as to overcome his obstacles. My father used to say, tough times never last, but tough people do. Meaning that within you, You have the ability to overcome the tough times. I like to say, greatness is not measured looking at where you are. Greatness is measured looking at where you came from to get to where you are. The bigger the delta, the greater the person. And all three examples that I showed you with Thomas Edison, Muhammad Khatami, my son Ibn, they overcame some huge obstacles that would normally set other people back. How many of you have the difficulties that the three of them have? You do?
I don't hear very well. In fact, I almost couldn't get a driver's license in the U.S.
Okay. Okay, good. And you're doing very well here, too.
I hope so.
Great. Great.
You are.
Yes. So, what I'm trying to say is that you have within you the natural ability. It's not your aptitude, your ability, but your attitude, which may be detaining you from being accomplished or keeping you from achieving the things. Lastly, I want to end with this quote. The potential within you is greater than the obstacles around you. Remember that and strive as in a race to achieve the goal of excellence in all that you do, and believe that you can be successful. Back to you.